Yeah, thanks for joining us today. So let's get started. I think we're like a minute in. Talk about our agenda real quick. So we want to. I think everyone here has published their profile, but we want to make sure that like publishing your profile, making sure your content is optimized for search. So we'll go through a little bit of that. How to invite your customers to transact with you on your shop profile, marketing strategies for growing your business on Xometry's platform, and Q&A. So we'll hit through kind of our top three, and then if there's any questions or questions throughout, we'll make sure to cover those as well. Dave, you excited, man?
I'm stoked. We've been working on this for a long time. A lot of questions and requests from our network have found their way into these solutions. So I'm really excited about these marketplace tools.
Love it, love it. All right, man, let's get into it. So publishing and optimizing your shop profile. Dave, I'll drive, but talk through kind of
Sure.
what.
So, first of all, the thing to know is that these tools are live and they are available already on your partner profile. And you would just sign in to the normal place that you go to look for jobs on your job board. And in the top left corner is the three bar menu. We call it the hamburger menu, in which you find the left side menu there. And if you look down, thank you for guiding us, Adam. If you look down, you can see where the Marketplace Tools menu is and what you can do there. And it's real simple. You can view your profile, edit your profile, or find other suppliers to connect with. And we can get back to that in a little bit.
Absolutely.
When you view your profile, you will see what the public will see when you are published. And we'll get into the subtlety of saving versus publishing, because what you're looking at right now is a published site. And what you can see is the blue bar across the top shows anyone can see this page in the top left area. And when you want to make a modification to this page, you edit your profile, and that's the button that is highlighted on the right. But this gives you an idea of what it's going to look like when you make your change. So you're going to flip back and forth between views. You'll edit your profile, you'll pop back into here to see how it looks, and back and forth until you work it out. Or as you make changes in your shop. This is a dynamic thing that you can manipulate in an ongoing fashion. Actually, if you could go back one more
Oh
slide.
yeah, absolutely.
I just realized I wanted to point out we have opportunities here for some branding with the banner ad and a logo space. And then right below that is a short description of your shop. Now, we've got a ton of partners in our network. We have a ton of buyers that come to our site. There's a lot of CNC machinists out there, but there's something that makes you special. There's something that makes your shop unique. And this is where you highlight and describe that. So keep in mind as we're going through this presentation that this is your statement and this is your web page on our website. And so you want to make sure that you are highlighting those things that set you apart. Okay, next slide. The shop profile edit screen is pretty simple. It's very fill in the blank. We've taken out a lot of the guesswork on how to make a quality formatted presentation. You'll see when we get back into some more examples, there's a lot of white space on the page. That's intentional. The whole reason for this page is to house this information. And once this information is applied, those all become search terms. And the idea is that folks will search for their specific need. So the more descriptive you are in these areas with your specific shop capabilities, the better the match will be, and the more often you will arrive in a search result.
Yeah, and one thing I want to talk about with descriptive there is um, you want to be descriptive of your capabilities, but think like a buyer or someone that's, you know what I mean? Like you want to say like, you want to use buzzwords, right? Or maybe buzzwords is the wrong word, but um, intent words that is like CNC machining, small run CNC parts, right? Like things that a buyer would be looking for when they're shopping for engaging with you. So be descriptive of your capabilities, but when we start talking about like optimizing for search, you want to start thinking about what are my customers typically looking for, and how can I reflect that in my description.
Excellent point, Adam. Thank you. The other thing I wanted to point out on this page is the box on the right of the image. It says public profile and then your URL. That box, as you'll see when we get later in the presentation, just floats. So as a buyer scrolls up and down your information, that call to action is going to remain there. And on your view, you see the publish profile button, which actually the language has changed to
Talking
save
about
changes.
this box right here, right, for the
Yes,
buyer side, and then
there
this
you
box right
go.
here for your side. Yep.
That's right. And on the buyer side, actually on both sides it floats, but on the buyer side, the intent is that's what we're doing here is we're establishing a place to put this call to action. And by establishing it as a filtered search, that's the easiest, most direct way for these connections to be made. Next slide, please. All right. So when a person goes to our supplier search, they will find this right here. It's basically a search bar. And when we get to this page, you'll see this landing page has more information below this image. But this is where the action is. Buyers will put in whatever the search terms are that they're looking for right in the search box, and it will display a list as imaged on the left. And you can see on the left side of the left image a bunch of filtering options that would refine your search. And then on the right side, what a completed profile would look like. So when you can see, oh, they're actually different. So I thought JMD was the very top, but it's JMG. Close enough. You'll see this list on the left, and you click into any one of those bars, and you'll get the complete shop profile.
And I do want to come back to like what Dave's talking about on his background. There is actually a great background choice, but the customer would be searching, CNC machinist or CNC parts or 3D printing or finishing, whatever, into that search bar, and then would return this page on the left, right? And so that's where the terms you're using, the description you're using, your capabilities, the listed ones within your shop profile, that becomes super important for driving customers to your page, because the search is returning the most relevant shops based on the customer search.
Yeah, that's right. And as you're filling out your shop profile, and this tags back to what Adam said earlier, you want to keep your customer's mindset in focus. What is your customer looking for? What kind of buyers do you want to drive to your site? And you want to tailor your message to that group. And that could be a wide net or a narrow net. Just depends on what your shop specializes in and what type of work you want to drive through this site.
Hey, Brantley, what's going on, man? Brantley just asked a good question. So can there be an option to choose what picture shows as our shop profile picture instead of showing what pictures we have in our gallery?
The short answer is yes. The long answer is fast follow. That's a development term for when we know we have some features that are useful and important to us, but that aren't really necessary to get us off the ground. We've gone live with this version, but as with all things Zometry, pay attention because we're moving fast, right? We're growing and we're changing and improving all the time. And Brantley, to your point, we do this largely off of our partner feedback. So what you have just said, we have heard, and we do have a solution in the pipeline. It should be coming out in weeks, not months, but that will be there. You'll have the ability to. We don't see it on this profile imaged, but there is a showcase, a gallery of photos,
Mhm.
and you will have the ability to reorder those photos, caption those photos, and choose which one shows on the search landing results.
First of all, Brantley, thank you for the question and thanks for joining today. Love seeing you in here. Second of all, I think Brantley highlights a really good point. One, being able to choose it, but two, how important the image is. So if you just look here and if M&M Machine and Kettle Moraine metal products are in here, not any hate towards you here, but want to show kind of what a customer is going to see and why it's important to fill out your profile, because you're going to have, if a customer is not coming directly to your URL, which we'll show a little later on how to drive that, but if they're using search, and apologies for my freezing there, that'll be a nice captured freeze face for the recording, but if they're using search, they're seeing other suppliers there, and so if they're not seeing a picture, if they're not able to like read your short description really quickly in this search page, it's more likely that they're going to click on one that does have a picture, does have a short description, right? So those pieces of your profile become really, really important.
Yeah, that's an important point. While we're talking about photos, I think it's wise to mention choice of photos is critical here. Our partners do work under our NDA, our non-disclosure agreement, and so it's important to call out the fact that those images would not be allowable on this page, as they wouldn't be allowed anywhere online or in social networking. Those images are our customers' property, essentially. They're part of their own intellectual property suite. So we need to respect that. And our agreement, our partnership agreement covers that. But I just want to verbally call that out. I think we can move on. All right. So
we've got before you go, Dave, we've got
yes.
a good question in the Q&A from Josh. He says, so if a company searches for CNC machining and pulls up a list on the side, there could be hundreds of shops and we would never be able to quote on jobs then and could be bypassed completely.
Yeah. So Josh, one thing is that, yes, CNC could return, a couple hundred results. However, we don't think that CNC is the only thing they're going to search, right? So if we go back, I'll go back real quick, and I'm not sure if you can see on the left-hand side, but we have location. You can search by the zip code, the radius between you and the customer, or the zip code that they're searching for. They can search by finishing capabilities, material capabilities. Obviously, we just covered process capabilities, quality control, etc. So there are going to be customers looking for very specific things, such as CNC machining, with anodized finishing on aluminum 6061. Obviously, that's a pretty common example there. But yeah, so it's important to be able to fill out all of your capabilities. It's important to optimize your copy. It's important to have good product images, et cetera, because you want to stand out from the other suppliers. So there's two ways that folks are going to find you. One, by coming directly to your shop profile, and again, we'll kind of touch on how to invite your customers to transact with you there. And then there's other marketing channels that you can drive through there. And then two, within the search, you are kind of competing with the other search results here. And so investing in a quality profile is important. So, while I would say If you invest in it, it's, I don't think it's necessarily likely that you would be never receiving quotes or kind of buried super deep in. Because if you're telling us exactly what you can do and a customer is looking for that, it's very likely that you're going to, be at the top of their search. So I think you're underscoring why it's important to invest in a quality profile there.
That's right. And just to expand on that a little bit, Adam, because I really appreciate the question. We built this with the knowledge that we all have a certain habits in our own shopping. When I'm looking for a pair of shoes, I'm not going to the shoe store first. I'm going online first. And what am I looking for? I start with a size, and that filters down. I include a style. I'm not looking for hiking boots or dress shoes. I'm looking for sneakers. And right there, I've culled the list down to a more manageable size. And then I start looking at my search results, and if there's 10 pages worth, I'm not interested in searching through 10 pages of options. I keep narrowing it down until I find a manageable group to look through. Then I start scrutinizing. We assume the same kind of behavior here.
Yeah, I do think it's also important to talk about fast follows, that you were touching on. We haven't necessarily totally figured out what this is going to look like, but there will be some sort of, if you perform, similar to how we have a PSS score on the job board, right? If you're doing quality work here, we want to, because we want to serve quality, like shops that have made customers happy through here. We want those customers to be happy as well, right? So there will be some sort of, badging or quality score or reputation score, whatever, that says, hey, James has killed it the last 5 jobs. This is something that you want to highlight that. So again, we don't necessarily know what that looks like, but if you're invested in this, then we want to reward that. And so it'll, depending on how the tools actually net out, it will look a little different, but investment in having a quality shop profile will lead to more quotes. We know that.
Yeah, that's great. And we have a couple more questions coming in. Two from Michael. One of them, when will RFQ proposals go live? We have our profile up and have not received any RFQs yet. That's the first question.
So I can answer that quickly, which is it's a little bit different than our prior entries into this space. We have our core business, which is very straightforward. A buyer uploads a 3D drawing. We present that on our job board. It gets picked up, created, and sent to the buyer. We had an RFQ marketplace for a period, and through a lot of feedback we received, we moved towards this model. And what we had done before is we would open up a request for quote to anyone in our network. And that proved to create some very quick winners and losers. Some folks were just not seeing any results from all this quoting they were doing, and we heard that feedback. So one of the ways to address that was to make it a much more focused search and to not allow buyers the opportunity to just throw something up there and go with the cheapest, but rather get a little invested in the project because there's more to it than just the price. Our network of partners has shown me,
well, not only price, but the fastest too. So
there's an enormity.
Yeah, what happened in the RFQ is that typically the first response won, and a lot, and also price won as well. But what would happen is that the customer would pull a lever, and 2,000 people would get an RFQ. Right? If you're not number one to respond, they were just shooting shotgun blasts. So what we want is for there to be, them to curate small networks through this where they've got 3 to 5 shops that they're working with consistently. And once they find you and they work with you, that they're sending those 3 to 5 RFQs out, not 5,000, and you don't ever you spend time quoting on it and never hear back on why you didn't win them, right? Most likely is just because you weren't the first one, but you don't get any of that quote feedback back.
And while you're on that topic, this is a buyer seller direct interface. If you lose out on a bid, you have access to that buyer to find out why. You can follow up with them and pledge to do better pricing next time or offer to do a faster quote next time, whatever it is. This becomes an opportunity for you to create that relationship and for you to curate that relationship.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, there was a second question.
Yeah. Michael followed up with the second one. He said, we have customers beyond Xometry. What happens if one of our customers sends us a request via the Xometry portal at the same time as they send it to us directly? Are we obligated to work through Xometry?
That's a fair question. Adam, did you want to jump on
Yeah.
that?
Did you say it was Michael, Luke? Is that his name?
Yes, it's Michael Mowens. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Mowens.
Yeah, so Michael, you're not obligated to work through Zometry. We believe that we've built a robust suite of tools through the shop profile that you have. So you get access to the financial suite of tools, consistent payment times and just et cetera, right? So you've got the advanced card, fast pay, you guaranteed payment within 30 days. So you're not, you're not chasing anything. A lot of this happens within the Zometry platform. So we believe that that suite of tools is robust enough to where you would hopefully want to transact through Zometry and through your shop profile. You could extend that customer terms. A lot of it centers around the financial tools that you get access to on all of your work now if you flow it through Zometry. But if that customer was to send you a quote request through your shop profile and also to, email you, no, we don't, we're not going to kick you off the network because you did that. We hope that you either want to transact through your shop profile because of the other tools, or that you would give us feedback on what tools we need to build to make you want to transact through that. But, there's no, I don't have any keystroke tracking on your computer where I can say, hey, Michael was talking to Jim and he took it off the platform. Now we're we want you to transact here. We think the tools are powerful enough to where we'll want to keep you on the platform, both from a customer and your point of view. But to answer your question, there aren't any obligations to transact.
Again, I want to tag on and build on what you said, Adam, because you dropped a bunch of really valuable information there. We're here to talk about the optimization of your profile, but we really should take one little step back and just talk about how powerful this shop profile is. Specifically, in our point of departure, we looked at what we offer and we looked at how we connect with our network, and we took a look at our history. And in mid 2020, due to feedback that we received from our network, we came out with shop finances, and we developed some cash flow tools that have had a very, very positive impact. Adam mentioned the advance card. You should all be familiar with this, but let's just say it out loud. The advance card gives you 30% upfront on all the work you take from the Zometry job board. At the end of that job, we guarantee you a payment in 30 days. If you want to accelerate that payment, we have a diminishing fee structure. The closer you get to your natural payout, the less the fee becomes, but you can control that cash flow. You see up front how much it's going to cost to get it right now, and you can have that money right away. What we're doing with the shop profile is connecting those financial tools that come with Zometry job board work to all your non-Zometry business. So Michael, it's sort of the other way around, right? The tools are there for you to want to drive your existing business through your shop profile. And this might make a change for some of your customers because there's a payment platform embedded in here. And that's a key of this, of how powerful these tools are. Adam touched on this as well, But Zometry Pay is a POS. It's a point of sale system. So you will be able to transact on the site using credit cards. If you don't take credit cards now, well, suddenly you do. Credit card infrastructure, to take a credit card payment, there's a fee to swipe the card. And there's oftentimes fees associated with having hardware to swipe the card on or software to swipe it through electronically. We don't have extra fees for that. And very importantly, our underwriter is underwriting your customer's credit. That means you can offer your customer net 30 terms that we guarantee we will pay to you in 30 days. Now, almost without exception, every partner in our network I've spoken to says, oh yeah, I got 30-day terms with my customers. And then I say, but do they pay in 30 days? And that's the dirty little secret. Net 30 terms doesn't mean you get paid in 30 days. What it means is you now have an awkward conversation to have with your buyer on when are you going to get paid for that work that you already did a month ago. This system eliminates that. If the buyer fails to pay or has cash flow issues of their own, like that happens, they will work out payment with our underwriter. We pay you in 30 days. We're allowing you to outsource that part of the relationship. When it gets awkward, give it away. That buyer can still engage with you into their credit limit as long as they have a credit limit to engage with. And this is really important. In the Zometry Pay sign-up process, when they're applying for terms, that's a hard credit check. If they don't pass the credit check, this is a big, giant red flag. You are an independent business. You are not a bank. You should not be your customer's bank account. You are not their financial security. It's unfair for them to put you in that situation. So you want to use this site for all the right reasons. We're giving you money up front. We're giving you fast pay on the back end. But if you don't need those services, they don't cost you anything. They just exist. And at the end of that 30 days, we guarantee that payment.
Yep. And I do want to.
I just wanted to cover that stuff.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of good questions, and so it's tying us up on time. Let's dive into how we send some of the payment requests, what the customers see. Want to talk through some of the social aspects, and I also just want to touch on real quick. Brantley had another great question on favoriting. Like, so could a customer favorite a profile if they've worked with them in the past so that they show up pretty quickly? Brantley, those are all things like what you guys are asking about are very specific product features, but we're working on things that are around that. So it could be favoriting, it could be saving people to a smaller network. It could be that a customer is able to save your URL, whatever it is. We want to, if a customer has a good experience with you and they want to transact on something similar, it's in our best interest to connect you guys quickly again. So that's definitely top of mind. It might not come across as favoriting right when we launch it, but that solution is something that we're working towards and is on our roadmap.
All right, before we dive into more questions, let's talk a little bit about the flow. And to reiterate, Adam mentioned this at the top, but I think we should maybe mention it a couple times. This is a work in progress, right? This is our earliest fielding of this system, and so this will grow and evolve as we get use and as we get feedback. At the moment, the language that we're using is that you're going to send a payment request, and the act of the buyer accepting that payment request is them choosing how to pay, which kicks off the terms application process or captures their credit card information. So let's run through it really quickly. A buyer is looking for a quote. They send you a request for proposal. Right now we're calling them proposals, but it's the one button that the buyer can press. Sending a request for a proposal. And that proposal goes to you. It's got line items. You can price each part of the quote that's being requested and send that to your buyer. That is your payment request. When the buyer looks at that and says, yep, this is what I want, these prices are good, I'll take it, they accept your payment request. The act of them accepting is them signing up for Xometry Pay.
For next. No, let's see. Sorry, I was just trying to get a screenshot of what you were describing. But
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So this is what the request looks like when you create it. You fill in a quick form. It gives you this preview. There's almost nothing to see here, right? That's the point. There's not a bunch of busyness. There's just your basic information. This is going to be sent to your customer from your shop with a little Zometry branding in the bottom. But this creates that. This is the second step of that conversation. First step is requesting a quote or requesting a proposal. Sending the payment request is you quoting it. All right, I think we can move to the next slide. All right, so your buyer will see this. Again, very simple. It's got line item part 1, part 2. There's different prices, different quantities. If they're ready to go with this, they'll continue to payment. If not, they're going to, something doesn't look right, contact the seller right there. And so they'll be able to connect with you and say, oh, actually, I need 5 or I need 15 or whatever. Once you go back and forth and get that nailed down, then they will continue to payment. And when they continue to payment, that's when they have the opportunity to choose a credit card or net terms. And you can see.
I do want to just real quick.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Jesse Castro was just asking about the house standard. So he works for some larger companies, and he was asking about kind of the flow for applying for terms. Jesse, what your customers would do would be Zometry Pay with Invoice here for buy now and pay in 30 days. So this is us extending them that terms, or they could pay with their credit card or be available to spend. But when we get into it, that's the key for your question there.
Mm-hmm. And we've already worked with some partners who are dealing kind of on an enterprise level. They have many employees in their shop, and they're dealing with businesses that are not one-off mom and pops, right? They're also enterprise businesses. So the accounting team or the controller is the one who would apply for the terms as the business. And this is something that businesses know how to do, right? They have to do this for their own banking and their own B2B relationships all over their own business. So this is not out of the standard request. It would just be, is it the business owner, sole proprietor who's filling it out? Or is it the controller or accountant at the business who's filling it out? So I hope that answers your question, and nice to see you, Jesse. Once this step is made, that creates the purchase order, right? So now you have a committed contract, if you will. The buyer is agreeing to your terms. Now you're on the hook to make it. Once you do make it, and in here, I want to show you, the very bottom says, oops, go back.
Okay.
The very bottom says purchase order optional. This is if the buyer has, like, especially for those enterprise customers, the buyer has a PO system that they need to use for their internal systems. Mm-hmm. So they can create that and attach it here. This file service is a shared file drop. So they can put their PO in there and it'll stay in there. You can see their PO. You can mark up their PO and send it back to them via the same file share. So there's a record of the file that they sent and the file that you sent, but yours now has modifications on it. As you're going through the job, you can send progress photos. You can send them right here in this drag and drop interface. They can send you additional drawings to make something more clear, or send you pictures of associated parts so you know what this is connecting to. That's just a file share. So I wanted to point that out while we saw that image.
Yeah, and before we move on, Luke, it looks like we have a question in the Q&A. Could you read that to us?
Yes. So what we have is, Let me get it real quick. So Josh asked, do we have to sign up for a Zometry card to be a part of this and make it run correctly? So by Zometry card, advanced card, I'll let you guys take it from there.
No. So you have to have a Xometry account, right? But that's just your the partner account that you have works as your Xometry account, right? When we first showed you in work.xometry.com, which is the job board, the navigation on the left-hand side had your marketplace tools. You were able to publish your shop profile. This is what your customers use to check out with you and to pay with credit card, pay with available balance, or pay by the Xometry invoice. But you don't have to have a Xometry Advance card to make this functional. So short answer is no.
But that's what that pay with balance is.
Yeah. So even without a card, if you're taking work from us and you wanted to pay with a buy with a finisher, sorry, Dave, I jumped over you. I just got excited.
No, it's the same point.
Yeah, I just got excited. Yeah. So even if you don't have a card, if you want to get your part finished through here, right, and you want to pay against some work that you've taken on the job board or work through here, you can pay with your available balance without signing up for a Xometry Advance card, but it would go against that same 30% of advances. So, but again, no, we are not holding the advance card sign up over your head for you to have access to the shop profile and make this functional. This is simply just a cart checkout flow that your customer would go through in order to pay you for the parts that you're about to make for them.
That's it. And that connects a couple of dots, right? These marketplace tools are meant to be agnostic. It's not just for a buyer of manufacturing to buy a part from a manufacturer. It's for a buyer to interact with a seller.
Yep.
And as a manufacturer in our partner network, like taking jobs from the job board, you have to buy stuff. You have to buy tools. You have to buy supplies. You have to buy MRO. You have to buy PPE. All those things come from somewhere, right? And we have a supply site. You can use your advance card balance to purchase supplies through our supply site. But you can also use your advance card balance to connect with finishers. And that's another aspect of these tools, is that this is how you will connect with a finisher for a job board job that requires a finishing service that you don't offer in-house.
Now, Dave, I do want to, we originally scheduled for 45 minutes and I want to respect these guys' time. So
let's move on.
Let's get in.
Okay. You have a very simple interface in front of you. This is the credit application for terms. Super simple, basic info. It is a instant successful notification, which means if the buyer is approved, that approval happens nearly instantly. If they are not approved, it says, hold up, we need some more information. And then you get a notification. And that says, hey, so-and-so is looking for terms. We can't approve them as stated. Can you work with them and find out if there's another, any way you can massage that? I'm not sure exactly what the messaging is on that notification, only that you receive a notification that it wasn't approved, not them. That allows you to go back to them and do any kind of damage control you need to. And I don't see that there's a credit limit there.
No, they see the credit limit after they're
okay.
Yeah, so they're initially approved, kind of pre-approved for terms, and then you would actually go through and add your bank account information and request the credit limit that you want. Then they would be granted, and then they would see on the right-hand side here, their account information of how much credit they have and where they can buy from. And then if you think back to that checkout screen that we have, they would also have, once they were approved, they would see down here, buy with remaining balance of the credit that they had, that they were approved for there.
Right. So if you're quoting a job that's going to be $1,000 and they're asking for 50 grand in credit, you can say, hey, why don't you knock it down to $2,000 and let's get this job and run through and build your credit, right? You can help your customers repair some damaged credit through doing multiple transactions through here. Let's move to the next slide. We did already talk a little bit about this, but this slide exactly addresses your question, Michael. Why would you even want to be on this platform? And that's because we connect you to the financial tools that we already have, that we instituted directly from partner feedback. And I've forgotten about deduct from job there in the center of the slide, which is pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. It's another direct feedback result, right? The reason that that's there is because we heard from our partners, hey, it's weird to account for getting 30% up front and then getting, I spend $100 on material and then I spend $50 on some tooling, and I want that tagged to a particular job for accounting purposes and so that it's tied together with my payout. Well, we solved that. Deduct from job. You can now choose what expense is associated with a particular job so that when that job gets paid out, it deducts it from that payout amount, not the advance that you just received for the next job you're taking. And then fast pay we talked about.
Yeah. Let's see. Cool. All right. This is, we're timing up nicely. So I want to talk to you guys about some marketing strategies that can help drive net new folks to your shop profile. So if you think about today's customer, right? Unless it's your existing customers, which are calling you, obviously, or emailing you, or it's word of mouth, right? Someone you've worked with in the past. But even on this word of mouth, it starts to get relevant here, where today's customer, if I hear anything about someone that I want to buy from, the first thing I do is Google them. And if you don't have a LinkedIn or a shop profile or an Instagram or a Facebook, so I have LinkedIn up here as an example, because I think it's a fantastic example, but the other social channels can work. If you don't have some of this presence, it starts to eat away at my confidence level as a consumer. So if I start in Google and I search Brantley Lingerfeld online, right, and I don't see anything, I'm like, does this guy exist? Like, everybody's online nowadays, right? So then I'm like, I go back to the guy that recommended me, and I'm like, what's going on here? But if I see a LinkedIn profile, a personal LinkedIn profile, so I took Titans of CNC here as an example. What LinkedIn does is, if you have a personal profile and say that you work at Lingerfeld Machine Works, but you don't create the Lingerfeld Machine Works page, LinkedIn will create it for you, but then you can go in and edit it, right? So my suggestion and my employee, I implore you guys to create your personal profiles, and this can be, this goes the same for Instagram, Facebook, etc. But also create your company LinkedIn. And the reason I chose LinkedIn is because on your company LinkedIn, you can have a learn more, and you can actually link out to a website. And so if you don't currently have a website beyond your shop profile, you could actually link your URL on your shop profile. And this is where it gets pretty powerful, is that, Zometry, specifically me, and Brantley can attest to this, right? Brantley's sending us some videos right now. We've done an Amplify with Adam with Brantley. Brantley's sending us some other videos of him doing some machining content. We want to put out good, supplier produced content, people in our network that are producing content. We want to do Amplify with Adam videos where we tell your story. We want to put out stuff where you're creating really cool parts. So if you, were to send those in, we would actually, tag your LinkedIn, put it out to customers. And if they land on your page and click learn more, they can then go to your shop profile. If you post some of those videos, right, and we reshare it, or even you put them out there, if customers start to see you and you start tagging it with engineering, CNC machining, kind of the relevant tags, that's where customers can see that, learn more, link to your shop profile, and actually transact with you. So it goes kind of back to Michael's point on how or why would a customer find you, right? This is still the early days for us. So there's not going to be this fire hose of customers coming from our point of view, right? We want to get there, but we have this fantastic core business and our managed services side that you guys power, right? You guys are taking work from the job board. So we want to keep that growing and powerful and accelerating. But we also have to think about how and when do we get customers over to supplier search. That is not going to happen next week, right? That's something we're going to kind of constantly work on. So if you want to be driving customers to your shop profile, the things that you can do are the customers that are going there now, invest and optimize in your current shop profile with some of the stuff we talked about, and then finding folks and engaging with folks like me who are out trying to put a spotlight on you in the social arenas, by investing in some of the social channels, creating content, engaging with us so that we can actually drive folks from these social channels to your shop profile. It's the same thing as Zometry does, right? We spend money in promoting our LinkedIn content. We put Google paid ads, et cetera, right? It's a similar marketing acquisition spend that you're doing. It's just that the thing that you're investing is your time and effort in your online presence, not actually having to put out paid advertisements on there. So just wanted to
let us do that. We're spending millions on that.
Exactly. So, and then I plug here, my email is abo@zometry.com. Luke's on here as well. It's lflorence@zometry.com. You can reach us in the community. If you invest in your LinkedIn, or even if not, if you've got another website, request an amplified value. We can do a video, we can publish it, present it to the world. If you want to submit machining content of you making parts, not Zometry parts, but any other parts that are okay to put that type of content out there, submit that to us. We will produce it, put it out, tag your shop profile, actually, draw attention to you. But I think the key thing here is that, Dave and I, and everyone at Zometry, but Dave and I specifically, and Lauren and Luke as well, we're in your corner. We want this to be successful. So things like this is what we can do right now to help you be successful.
That's right. And I'm just going to echo the part about this being early days for us. Mm-hmm. Keep an eye on this and keep talking with us, because we develop these tools in direct response to partner feedback, and we will continue to evolve them based off of that feedback.
Yeah, already some great feedback today, right? Some great product feedback today. So,
right.
Well, that's all we have from a presentation standpoint. We will be posting this recording and pulling out some of the questions that were asked and typing out our answers there in the community. If you want to join, this is a weekly event for the next 7 weeks, and then we'll kind of edit our schedule based on the number of people that are attending moving forward there. But if you want to attend any weeks moving forward, please do so. Really appreciate you guys coming out and engaging with us and asking us questions. But that was a ton of really good questions. And Dave, thank you for being my co-host. Really enjoyed it, man.
Pleasure is mine. Adam, thanks for putting this together. It's a lot of work to do these things, but it's super rewarding. I can't believe we've been on this meeting for an hour.
Yeah, right? It flew by. So,
yeah.
All right.
So I want to thank everybody for their attention. It's nice to see people like Jesse and Brantley here that we've dealt with in the past. So
yeah, Michael and everyone else.
And Josh.
Yeah, Josh, thank you guys so much for asking those fantastic questions and for spending some time with us. So, all right, we will see you guys next week and talk to you soon.